Elisha LightAngel here, and I'm bringing you some life wisdom, just giving it to you from my heart to yours. So if you like what you see today, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more, I will be uploading more videos. Hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell. And now for today's topic. Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to my channel and on my series on boundaries. If you've been following it, if this is your first time to come across this video, well, I have some other videos in regards to boundaries kind of leading up to this one. And today we're going to go in. I've covered like what a boundary is and how to recognize whenever your boundaries have been crossed. And today, in succession and order, is what do you do once you realize that a boundary's been crossed? You know what? So I've got 4 different things that I've come up with that I think are really pivotal to like really getting past that. Once you recognize that this is something that's probably related to your own boundary and you're not used to creating boundaries, or maybe it's still new to you. So the very first thing after you've realized that a boundary has been crossed, I would say you need to reflect. And this can be in any manner that is good with you. So reflection can be sitting down and just really thinking about it, or thinking about it as you go throughout your day's activities, as sometimes that tends to happen to us whenever we've been triggered. Also, you can sit in meditation, and you can do journaling to kind of hash out what your own thoughts are. That really works for me. Whenever I'm having too many chaotic emotions, it's best if I just start writing and I start getting everything. It's like a brain dump. It just from the head to the paper. And once I see something in writing, or I've expressed it in that manner, it makes it easier for me to actually stand back as the observer and evaluate and ask myself further questions, so I can really get down to the root of whatever the issue is. So when it comes to a crossed boundary and reflecting on that, it is bringing up questions like, okay, I'm feeling this way. Obviously, I need to set a boundary with my time. I need to set a boundary with my energy. I need to set a boundary with this one specific person who keeps invading my life in a way that feels not good to me, or feels toxic to you. So asking about that boundary when you're really trying to figure out what it is how does this serve me? So if maybe you're used to saying yes to everyone when they ask you to do things, and you realize at some point that this is not serving you, that your energy is being drained to the point where you're beginning to feel resentful or have a bunch of other emotions well up, then think about how it will serve you to emphasize that you now have this boundary. I will do things for people, but not past 10 p.m. I will not engage in this particular thing with this person anymore. I will cut myself back from expending this much energy on somebody else's project. Whatever it is, how does that actually serve you? And if you put your foot down and you really stick to that and tell the person, how is that going to help you enhance and better your life? And then you're able to do the things you want. So when you can answer that question, it will help to give you a motivation to push forward on some of the other aspects, which I'm going to talk about in a couple minutes, that feel a lot scarier when it comes to exerting your own boundaries. What do you actually really want? So everything's always trial and error. So you might actually think that you have a boundary and try to exert that and realize maybe that's not what you wanted. Or likewise before, where you were not exerting a boundary and realized that this isn't how you want things. So answering that question for yourself really helps for you to figure out what's going to be in your best interest so that you can be as mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually well and balanced as you can possibly be. Next, after you've reflected, you've answered these questions for yourself, is to decide. So, second thing, figure it out. Make a decision. What is that boundary? Become definitive. If you have to, write it out so you have a reminder. Put it on a post-it note, put it on your mirror, put it somewhere that's going to let you know that you are actually working toward being firm with this particular boundary in your life. Because once you start to put your foot down, it will feel really challenging. It's going to bring up all sorts of other emotions because it's not something that you're actually used to doing. So 2 is to decide, make that boundary really positive. And if you don't write it down, that's fine. But in your mind, like really solidify, this is what you're doing. Whether that's repeating it to yourself a series of times so that you remember, or having some other way that helps remind you that this is what you have decided your boundary is going to be in case you forget. So then you want to go on, now that you have made a decision that this is your boundary, it's going to serve you. Now's the scary part. Number 3, which is communicate to other people. When you have not been exerting boundaries, this becomes, it's scary. It is anxiety inducing. You feel like you're being an a-hole, a bitch. You feel like you're being really mean sometimes, or you don't want to be that person. You've made a habit of being the person that people can go to, and now you're telling them no. How is that going to be seen? How are people going to respond to you? What if they don't like you anymore? That's really scary. What if they don't like you? Well, I have news. People are actually going to respect you when you lay down boundaries. Now, they may not at first. If somebody is used to actually walking all over you or utilizing you in a way that is manipulative, they are not going to like that you have put a boundary down. It's new to them. It's not something you've done. They're going to resist. They will try and make you feel guilty. They will try and have different manipulative tactics to pull you back in to do what it is that they want, because that is serving them without any of your interests for what is good for you. When you are having to communicate, keeping in mind why you're communicating this and why it's going to be good, and trying to stick to your guns about it is going to be the hard part. So try to be as gentle with people, like in the beginning. It might be hard to be like, no, I'm not doing that. But you can have other ways of stating something to someone that allows them to understand that you're being firm on this boundary for yourself without it being personal to them. So you are not required to ever explain yourself. I just want to preface this with that. If you want to say no to somebody and leave absolutely no explanation, that's completely up to you. But it is hard and scary, and sometimes it is easier, at least I have found in my life, to add a little bit of an explanation when communicating to the other person, because this helps them at least be a little bit more aware what is going on with you inside of your internal environment and how that's affecting you. And hopefully, if it is somebody that actually does care about you, then they're going to respect that this is something that you need, and they're going to back off. If it is somebody that doesn't respect that, it might be somebody that's using you. And to be honest, if someone's going to be manipulating and using you, that's not somebody that you need in your life. And when you start to actually put boundaries into place, you may need to be prepared prepared to lose people in your life that you thought were your friends. Your true friends will respect your boundaries. The people that are not your friends will not. It is like literally that plain and simple. So sometimes you have to hold somebody at an arm's distance because they're not being respectful of your boundaries or what's good for you. And that's okay. So I just wanted to let you know that. Moving on to the last thing in putting your boundaries is to be firm and to stand your ground. No matter what that other person is trying to do in their manipulation tactics and getting emotional or telling you how their needs aren't being met, whatever the situation is, it is up to you to stick to your guns and whatever your boundary is and say, no, this is my boundary. This is what I need. I'm not answering my phone when you're going to call me in the middle of the night because you're drunk. Sorry, this isn't happening anymore. Or I can't let you come over to my house anytime you please. I'm going to need you to call me and check with me beforehand. Simple things like that. If you need, again, if you need to actually give an explanation, go ahead, but stay firm. And this is the part that feels the hardest. And I think for most people, it's the part where you're going, yeah, I can tell them. I can, oh, okay, yes. You practice in the mirror, you get in the mirror, and you're like, all right, my thing is, I'm telling you this is how it is, this is how it's going to be. This is my firm boundary. And then you get the person in front of you, and everything that you practice just melts. It might happen a few times, but the more you practice, then the more it will actually help you when you are in a situation. So the best way to practice is to find a good friend, partner, or a family member that is willing to help you practice. Let them know what it is that you're doing. You're trying to practice saying no, saying this boundary, stating it out before you actually go and have that communication with the person that you need to communicate this boundary to. And if your person that's helping you happens to know this person, even better, because then they can kind of give more realistic responses that they think that person might have. When you're practicing saying it, say it several times. Have the other person come up with different responses that person might possibly have for you, because this will help prepare you more for a person's response. And you may not even guess what their response is going to be, but by prepping yourself ahead of time and practicing, practice, then you can do it in real life. And the more you actually put your foot down, lay out boundaries for yourself, then the more you will find it is easier to state those in the moments that you need to. And you'll find that you'll get a greater love for yourself, a better satisfaction. Boundaries are self-care because it's taking care of so many different things that you need in your life. And it's always changing, always evolving, but it's always a practice. And till you get good at it, and that's just how it is. So I hope that you can have a good firm start in your boundary practicing and be on that path to just being firm and feeding yourself, your body, mind, spirit, and soul in all those ways. May you have a blessed and wonderful day. Namaste.